I want to buy into a team that's smarter than me, that knows stuff I don't know. Right. And if it has already in place a go to market engine that's going at least a little bit, or that it's firing on a cylinder in one continuous way, that maybe there's other channels that I can think about to help grow. That's what I'm looking for.
This is the Angel Next Door podcast, where we will talk about all things angel investing, what it is, who does it, how do we find them, what does it mean to invest in an early stage company. If you have ever wondered how you can affect the change you want to see in the world, then tune in to learn more. In this episode, I'm talking to my friend and powerhouse, Coco Sellman, as we discuss building businesses with purpose and profit. From founding multiple companies and navigating the challenges of the healthcare industry to creating a legacy of impact with her platform, A Force for Good, Coco shares her entrepreneurial journey, including the deeply personal story that sparked her most successful venture. You'll hear her fresh take on strategic exits, what she's looking for in her next acquisition, and the secrets behind her practical 4-page growth plan for founders. Enjoy the show. Coco, welcome to the Angel Next Door podcast.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. I watching your show and such a big follower and love your book. I can't wait till Unapologetic Wealth comes out. And so I'm really excited to be here with you, Marcia.
I'm excited to be here too. And I, of course, have your book right here with me, A Force for Good. We're going to talk a lot about that. But start off, tell our listeners a little bit about your background and how you created A Force for Good.
Sure. So I am a kind of a lifelong founder. I've been a founder for 25 years, 5 companies. I always like to say the first few were not as successful as the last. My first company was a Etsy-like company that was in the late 90s, and that I ran out of money after 5 years. The next few were more consulting-based and training-ship-based, and I made enough money, but not enough to sell it. And so I finally got to a place where I wanted to own a company that was not, where I really was not at the center of it, and where I could develop something way beyond myself, but really have a sense of legacy and stewardship. And so that led me to my healthcare company. And so my healthcare company was called Illume, started it in 2016. It was still is a company that provides around the clock nursing for medically fragile kids and adults. And that business grew fast. We merged with another company and then we sold it last year, in 2024. That created a very big run and then a moment of total pause. And so out of that was birthed A Force for Good. And A Force for Good is a platform for women founders, and it helps them scale, impact, and profit more quickly. We help them accelerate the speed at which they move from existence to survival to scaling to impact. And that's been a total joy and lots of fun. And that's more or less what I'm doing right now.
I love that. Okay. I love how in a lot of cases, entrepreneurs, they develop something out of need.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I know that you and I share stepmotherhood, and your stepdaughter, who is absolutely the sweetest, she did need some additional care. And I think that's how your company got started. Am I right?
You are right. Yes. So I met Amelia, who is now 24, but was 5 when I first met her. And she's medically fragile. She's a little girl that was born at 26 weeks rather than the regular 40, very premature. She spent 100 days in the hospital before she was able to go home. She had surgeries on her heart. She had a stroke. She had a lot of challenges when she was a baby. And those challenges stayed with her through her development. And so she's a quadriplegic. She's in a wheelchair. She's nonverbal. She eats through a feeding tube. So there's physical challenges. And she is also a bright, happy, joyful, and super heart-connected human. And she's been a joy in my life. And when she was 8 years old, there came a moment where her care got to a point where our health insurance approved 16 hours a day of nursing covered by our insurance. And so I went out to try to find a nursing agency, a home health agency that would cover her care, and nobody would. And I couldn't understand why. 16 hours a day, this seems like a Cadillac customer. And they explained to me that this particular area of home health, this continuous complex care, this sort of ICU in a home is only done by a very small percentage of home health agencies. And after I went through the process and the journey, I realized that both there was a tremendous need. So we did find an agency, but there was a waiting list a long waiting list. I had to find our own nurses. It was not an easy thing. And it just presented to me both how hard it was for me and how like I had the resources and the time and to figure these things out. And I discovered there were other families with multiple children and one parent in the home, not two, and many that were not English speaking as their first language. And but my heart, right, is like, why should this be so hard? There needs to be bigger access to this kind of care for these very disabled children and for their families. And I also looked at what was happening in the market because I am an entrepreneur and I like to do business that's sensible. I like purpose that leads to profit. And learned that the home health world at that time in 2016, was consolidating, just starting to consolidate. So there were lots and lots of little players, mom and pops, and there was starting to see acquisitions. So I knew that there was a need that I would care about very deeply, and I also knew that there would be an opportunity at some point to exit if I wanted
Mm,
to.
very smart. Nice.
So it was a very personal need, and it definitely it played out in everything we did. It played out to the very end. It played out to how we chose our exit partners. Did we want to go with a private equity firm? Did we want to go with a hospital? Where we're going to keep all of our patients and our nurses? What was going to change? What wasn't going to change? So it really did affect our full decision making throughout. But I was also a business person I had two investors, two angel investors, and I needed to make sure I made sensible decisions for them as well.
Nice. And so who did you end up exiting to? What kind of company?
Connecticut Children's Hospital. So
Nice.
Connecticut Children's Hospital, we became their pediatric home health platform. And so they're now expanding it beyond the state of Connecticut. And it's part of an innovative care model that they have been working on and being able to get more access. That's the reason that they wanted to buy us, was because they wanted to have better access to sending children home from the hospital because
Mm,
they were getting stuck in the hospital because there
mhm.
was no home health provider to take them home. So there was a massive logjam in the system, especially during COVID. And then what ends up happening is these babies end up going into institutional care. That is terrible for the families. It's terrible for the babies. The development isn't as strong. So they want there was that need, and then there was also home health also does a lot of behavioral health. And so the other reason that they weren't able to let kids go home from the hospital was because of that. So this gave them a strategic opportunity to better optimize the flow, control the flow, own the flow of being able to take care of people throughout the continuum, not just in the hospital.
What a great story of seeing a need, building something, and then being so strategic and thoughtful about the exit partner and then how your legacy and its legacy would live on, right?
It was honestly, it's what I dreamed of, but told myself would never happen. It was hard, Marcia, and there were certainly moments along the way that were not easy or pretty. A lot of moments that were not easy or pretty, but I am very happy with the way that it ultimately turned out. And the other thing, okay, now I'm being the investor in me. Thank God we sold when we did
Mm.
because we were Medicaid driven, heavily Medicaid driven. And there was a talk about timing and trends because post COVID, there was actually an influx in our business acquisitions because there were state by state a lot of increases for the same reason. All over the country, kids were not able to go home from the hospital because of this issue. And so the rates increased for a lot of states for this in this area of care, including Connecticut. It was one of my most favorite experiences was learning how to advocate at the state and national level. And we got in the state of Connecticut right after we did a merger. We had a 31.7% increase. So imagine overnight your top line goes up by 31.7%.
Oh.
And so the value of the company grew, which was great. And we were also able to do more of the things we wanted to do for our nurses and for our patients. But it created a huge boost in our value. And then it became more popular. Our particular type of home health became more popular to acquire for a period of time. And then we got out. And then the most recent administration came in, and now Medicaid's a total show. And I don't know, I'm certain I would not get the value I did in
Mm,
24.
wow. Timing is everything.
It totally
Wow.
is.
Yeah.
Totally is. I was talking to a founder this morning, great business. And I'm like, well, good luck finding an angel right now.
Mm.
It's a tough time.
It is so tough. I probably get asked almost daily if I either will invest myself or if I know people who are investing or could I connect so and so to so. And it's a tough market right now. We need to see more liquidity, more exits. It's
Yes,
slowly starting to happen, but it is taking some time.
taking some time.
So before we started recording, you told me that you were interested in potentially acquiring a business this year
Yeah.
in 2026. So tell me why, what, how, all the things. That's so interesting to me because, and I'll give a plug in for Shama Bunton's summit that we were at in 2025, right? We heard from somebody that's all they do is they buy companies and then they they grow the company and then they sell the company. Like it is an actual way to invest. So I am, and by the way, Shama is having another summit 2026. We'll make sure that our listeners know all about it, right? So tell us all the things.
Yeah. So I know KK Hart. I met
Mhm,
her through
mhm,
Sharma, of course, and that this is one of the people that turned me on to this. But in 2025, it was my year of post exit. Let's see what the heck I want to do with my life. And do I want to really focus 100% on a force for good? Do I want to do something else? Do I want to angel invest? Do I want to go work for a private equity firm and be an operator? What do I want to do? And I was talking to a friend who has been for years thinking about buying a company. And she came to me last year and said, I'm going to do it. I've signed up for this accelerator program. I'm going to do it. And my whole heart leapt out of my chest. And I was like, that's what I want to do. And it was like I hadn't had anything that really turned me on. And then it just made so much sense to me. Cause okay, again, I love building businesses, but my sweet spot is once I have a team and things are going, I can make it grow. That's really like the 0 to 1 is it's not easy for anybody. It's not my favorite place. If I had to do it, I didn't have a choice, I would do it that way. But given that I have the choice, and if I choose myself to invest a bunch of money in, say, a force for good, or go and buy a company that is cash flowing, I'd rather buy the company that's cash flowing and figure out a way to
mhm.
grow it. So that's what I'm looking for. And I'm looking for a business that has between 500 and 1.52 of EBITDA. And I'm looking in a variety of sectors. People think I'm crazy when I say that, but I'm looking for the right role for me.
Mm,
Right. I'm looking for a company that has, first of all, some kind of a mission of some kind that I can really sink my teeth into. Number 2, it's gotta have some people on the team, that existing team that will stay, that have real institutional knowledge, cultural knowledge, whatever the special sauce is, so that I'd like to buy that. Like when I write my sweet spot list of what I wanna buy into a team that's smarter than me, that knows stuff I don't know, right? And if it has already in place a go-to-market engine that's going at least a little bit, or that it's firing on a cylinder in one continuous way, that maybe there's other channels that I can think about to help grow, that's what I'm looking for. And it might be serving the small to medium sized market, business market, because I know that market. It could be serving healthcare in some way. It could be a health tech platform. It could be something like that. I've looked at some travel nursing businesses. I've looked at SaaS businesses. I'm looking at a wellness like a company that has a really great back end, digital back end. And they have 20 different brands on the front end that are wellness types of brands. And they have a huge mailing list, tons of they've been around for 20 years. So like all different kinds of stuff. And I'm going through this phase now of having a lot of calls with founders, looking at their now it's not my diligence, my data room anymore. It's their data room and I'm going. It's so fun. But
Oh my gosh, so fun.
it is.
Yeah. And so what would be the ideal role that you would want to play in the business? Would you be the CEO? Would you run the company? Are you
Yeah,
looking
I
for
would be this. Yeah, I would be the CEO. I like to get my hands a little dirty, but where I play best is orchestrator, strategist, orchestrator. At Illume, the thing that was so great is I really was able to play a CEO role. I did strategic sales. I didn't do everyday sales,
Mm,
right? I wasn't providing the services. I wasn't a nurse, right? I was I was looking at data. I was getting feedback from what was coming in and able to say, okay, here's how we can tweak this. Here's how we can tweak this. And then work with the team to create the outcomes. And that's where I do best. So that's what I'm hoping to do again. And one of the things I like about this wellness company is aside from the fact that it has really strong net profit and the founder doesn't work a lot right now. It's been going for a long time. I like it because two things. One, what's working is working well, but there's a lot of things they haven't done. So
Mm,
there's a lot of things to layer on it. And the other thing is I could acquire other businesses and plug it into their high capacity, high conversion digital process that their back end. So that we'll see what happens. But that's what I envision is being able to find something and see a way to grow it through organic growth as well as through acquisition.
nice.
Yeah.
Wow. That is so interesting. How do you even find out? I have so many questions. Like, how do you even find out what businesses are out there for sale? Do you have to talk to an iBanker or where do you start?
Well, in the range I'm looking, so I'm looking for companies that have between 500 and 1.5 of EBITDA. So that means they're probably somewhere, depending on the kind of business, they're probably in somewhere between 3 and $10 million.
Right.
And so there are different places to find things at those price ranges. But I don't know, the Zillow of businesses is Biz Buy Sell. So you can go there and you can find all kinds of businesses, whether you want to buy it HVAC company or a bakery or you want to buy a SaaS company, you can buy everything is there. And then there are some more specialized sites. I have a subscription to acquire.com and that's a little bit more more filtered. And then you start to find brokers along the journey. I've been working with one particular broker that is only in the healthcare space. And so I'm looking at another home health business actually. It's home care. So I'd have to get permission with my previous sellers to buyers to do it. But there's that I could go back into home health. There's all kinds of there's different specialties. There's ones that are more local, ones that are more national. So it's a little bit of a wormhole, but there's a lot of stuff. And there's also a lot of competition. There's a lot of people that want to buy
Yeah,
these businesses.
I bet. Yeah. Wow. Coco, you are just such a powerhouse. Okay, so I can't let you go without talking more about your
Okay.
book. Okay,
Okay.
tell us all about the things. This book has so many great recommendations, things that you should be doing as a founder. It's so easy to read. There's lots of pictures and charts and ways that people can really start to think about their business differently. So tell us what prompted you to write it and what was that process like?
Yeah, what prompted me to write it was I had just closed on the merger of my company with All Point Home Care. So we became 50-50 owners and it was an incredibly positive result at the end of the day, but the melding of the two businesses was hard.
Yes.
And so I wrote this book as a love story to myself. Really, it was like, this is how I will run every business I ever lead or
Mm,
grow or start again. And I'm just reminding myself this is how we do it. And this isn't to say that I'm not trying to throw my partners under the bus at all. We just did things so differently. And we cared about patients, we cared about nurses, but everything else, how we did things was so different. So this was a book that was all about helping. Marcia, I am a systems person. I'm a flywheel person. I like to, anytime I do anything, if I think I'm ever going to do it again, I like to put it in a recipe that I can find and pull out and never have to do the thinking again, make it a shortcut. So any company, and I started doing this 25 years ago. So whenever I was build a new company, I would start with the same framework, ask myself the same questions. And over the time, it became this 4-page growth plan, which the book is basically the 4-page growth plan. And it includes what do you need to know all the time? What do you need to be thinking about so that you know what to do to be of highest and best use for your business every day? Like that's really the point of it is like when I wake up today, what should I do? Right? What should I do today? Is it that phone call to that customer? Is it calling and advocating to the Capitol Hill? What is the most powerful thing I can do right now? And the 4-page growth plan allows you to put everything down on a page, 4 pages, and that process of working it out and continuing to come back to it and working on it with your team is what helps you develop and refine that clarity over and over again. And so it's a tool that has multiple tools to support it and a thinking model around how to run a company. But it's designed to help. It's really about growth. It's all about how do I grow faster? How do I spend less energy on the stuff that doesn't matter? Where are the levers? Where are the accelerators? And part of that answer comes from knowing your core purpose, knowing what your vision is. Part of it is who is your customer and why do you love them so much? Part of it is what is the main problem I need to solve this year? What is that core constraint? And how do I make sure that is the thing I'm focused on all year? So it's a distillation of all of that into 4 pages that then helps you take those steps.
Amazing. Imagine if every founder used that framework. Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
no, and
incredible.
it's actually it's what I like to say that business is amazingly simple, but that simplicity is very complex,
That's, oh my gosh, that's such a great way to say that.
right?
Yes.
It's like we want to go out, find customers, add value to their life in exchange for money. That's what we're gonna do. That's what we do. But like how you do that is complicated. It is a way that tries to make it as simple as possible and get you through the complexity so you can do the thing that
Right.
is most powerful today and that your team is doing the thing.
Mhm.
So anyway, it's fun. I enjoy it.
Well, I love that you talk a lot about profit, as we all should, but everything is, I feel that everything in your book, in your business, in you as a leader is about this force for good, and that you really exude that as like your mantra. But at the same time, you're like, "Hey, no, we're not doing this as like a charity. No, we're here to have a business that does good things and is profitable, purposeful and profitable."
100%. And it's the reason why I want to go and buy another business that's cash producing is because then I can do more good in all the other things I do.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
And the other thing, and this is I feel as an entrepreneur, there's I've been on 2 sides of this entrepreneurship coin. One is where you're creating something that you just love so much and you just want to follow your heart all day long, right? And that can get you into trouble
Mhm.
because that has no guardrails. That is it a passion project or are you really trying to innovate a quality, sustainable business that can perpetuate and deliver more and more value forever. And those are 2 different things. And it's I think it's important for us as entrepreneurs to know what we're doing when we're doing it because if you don't have a board and you
Mhm.
don't have a boss and there's not a lot of accountability, these lack of boundaries can get us into trouble. But
Mm.
right? And so it can become what sabotages us from actually manifesting what we want, which is this business that is prosperous and gives us a level of freedom in our lives and we're not at the grindstone all the time and like that's what happens when you go down that path and I've done it where you just do what you feel like and once like it feels good and you give everything away in the journey but then now you can't afford to buy to hire the good people you can't afford to improve your programs you can't invest in the technology to make it scalable and that's where you end up burning yourself out.
Totally. Yes. Coco, what is one thing that you would like people to walk away with, our listeners to know about entrepreneurship and all of the things?
Well, I'll tell you that focus.
Yes.
Not sexy, but it is if we were to really think about something in your life that you were you knew you had to do it. It was your family, your child, an illness, something. You had to do it. You had to do the thing. You behave differently, right? When you focused and you know what you want and you care enough to do it, then you can innovate and do whatever it is. So I really believe one of my most like anytime I start a business, anytime I start a project, have that one big breakthrough goal for a year and have 12 months is a great time frame because in 12 months you can achieve almost anything. Right. And so, what is that thing you want to achieve in your business this year that's profound? So, maybe you want to double your revenue or double your profit. Maybe you want to double the number of customers that achieve a particular result. And then don't have 3 goals, have one. It doesn't mean those others aren't going to get done. But if you don't make this one breakthrough, really give it the oxygen and have a weekly meeting, have KPIs around it, meet with your team every week about it, set up celebrations around it along the way if you don't give it that level of attention, it's not going to happen. But if you do, you'll break through.
Amazing. That's not just business lessons, those are life lessons. I love this. Coco, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast today and telling us all of these amazing things that you've done and are doing. Of course, we're going to put everything in the show notes so that people can buy your book and learn all about A Force for Good and all the amazing things that you have out there in the world. So thank you.
Thank you for having me, Marcia. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks for listening. To connect with me, visit my website at marciadawood.com. And please subscribe, follow, and leave a review. It helps the podcast get seen by more people. And remember, you can also find the Angel Next Door podcast on YouTube too. And if you're looking to learn more about investing in the changes you want to see in the world, sign up for Ann and Bill Payne's ACA Angel University classes. Go to theangelcapitalassociation.org, all one word, to find out the schedule. And classes are now available on demand. Many classes are offered, everything from angel investing basics, which include fundamentals, risk, due diligence, term sheets, valuations, returns and portfolio strategy, and even a class on group formation. There's even a deeper dive where you can get advanced classes, including capitalization tables, startup boards, and exit strategies. If you're not already a member of the Angel Capital Association, you can become one for a low price that will give you unparalleled access to discounts, free webinars with a huge archive of content, networking opportunities, and much more. We'd love to have you join us. All content for this website is informational and not intended to serve as legal, tax, accounting, or investing advice. While Marcia, that's me, does serve on the SEC Small Business Capital Formation Advisory Committee, my views are my own and not the views of the SEC or my fellow colleagues on the committee. Our speakers and hosts are thoughtfully selected for their educational value, but their opinions are their own and do not necessarily represent the views of the host, me, or the Angel Capital Association, and neither specifically endorse the use of presenters' products or services. Listeners of the podcast should consult their own tax, investing, legal, or accounting advisors before making important financial decisions. All warranties, including accuracy, completeness, and suitability for specific purpose, are disclaimed.